Hi guys, welcome to King's Corner. I'll be speaking English today. As you guys know, I'm bilingual. I can speak Korean, English, and Spanish as well. I knew that at some point in my videos, I wanted to do English and Korean and maybe Spanish as well. I just wasn't sure when would be the best time to get that started until I started thinking of today's topic and realized today might be the perfect day to get that started. Today, I'll be talking about bilingual programs in America. Bilingual education is teaching and learning in two different languages. Sometimes these languages are very similar, like Spanish and English, or it could be very different, such as Korean and English. It just really depends on what region you're in, what programs are popular, because every region just teaches different languages. Bilingual schools follow different models, and sometimes schools even create their own curriculum or their model for the student population just because every area is so different. But the most popular ones that are widely used in America are two, and the first one is called transitional. Just as the word transition suggests, the goal of this program is that students speak more of the second language than the first language. So they are transitioning their language from the first language to second language. The reason why the parents choose transitional bilingual school over monolingual is because as these kids' linguistic background is different than the monolingual students, they would rather have a good transition into a school that can speak both languages. So kids are likely to feel a little more comfortable when they start in Spanish or their own language and slowly expose themselves to the second language by the teacher who speaks both languages. The kids are likely to open up more to the teacher and feel more comfortable in the school setting than starting in a monolingual school where the teacher doesn't speak a word or is likely to not speak the language that the students speak. The second most popular model is called Immersion Bilingual Program, and this is the program that I used to teach when I was in New York, and my grad school teachers college highly recommend this programs are more effective than the other, and I'll tell you why. An immersion program, just as the word immerse suggests, students are immersing themselves in two different languages, and usually the goal of the program is that kids speak and learn and listen and read, write in these two languages 50 and 50% of the time. I like that students were not putting one language over the other because they are taught to treat them equally and they're learning in both languages equally anyways. What do you think a day at a bilingual school looks like? There are two models that a lot of schools choose to follow. The first one is called roller coaster. So in many schools that follow a roller coaster model, they will divide their day exactly into half. They're gonna start from English, then Spanish, and as the roller coaster goes up, the next day they're gonna speak in Spanish and then end in English. Does that make sense? Then it's gonna go up, down again. So depending on what language where you left off, you're gonna speak that language when you come back in the morning. The good thing about this model is that you're gonna speak both languages equally no matter how long or how short the day is. The second popular model is called side by side. This is the model that my school followed. So we spoke English on Mondays and Wednesdays, Spanish on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Fridays we spoke either Spanish or English depending on the week, because if let's say we spoke Spanish the week before, we're going to be speaking English this time and we just alternated. Now I want to tell you about how these languages are divided depending on the subjects. Some schools follow the day, so if they only speak in English, they do all the subjects in English, and the next day they continue their whatever they were learning the day before in Spanish, and then they just alternate the language. We follow the language of the day for social studies, math, and science. For example, if I taught fraction on Monday in English, I'd continue the same lesson, whatever that comes after that lesson, in Spanish and just continue doing that for every single day. It was really actually easy because a lot of kids would understand the terms because they were very easy to translate. But for reading and writing, it was really hard for the kids to write something in English and continue that in Spanish the next day. And the same goes for reading, as they were reading in Spanish and they were asked to read in English. It was really hard to find the same type of books as well. So we divided language depending on the units, and it actually went very well and I really liked it. What do you think is the main reason that parents choose immersion program over transitional bilingual and monolingual program? Is because in transitional schools, they're transitioning their native language to English. So kids are likely to end up learning English only. And in monolingual schools, of course, they're only learning in English. So in immersion program, since they are immersing themselves into two different languages, so parents would rather have their kids learn two languages than just one by the time they graduate. What are bilingual students like? So bilingual kids are open, they have unique perspectives on things. So we have to remember they are kids who come from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. Whenever they learn something new, they think of different cultures that the language they learned are spoken and where the countries of the language they speak are located. For example, when I was teaching North American history, a lot of kids were wondering about how South America had reacted to a lot of things that were happening in America. Because I realized they are interested in South America because they speak the language that's spoken in South America. One thing I noticed about bilingual students is that whenever we spoke the language that they think are stronger, they felt more confident. It was really interesting to see how they were so different depending on the days. Also, when they learn a new word or any new terms for anything, they try to compare in Spanish and English, and they see if there is any similarities and differences. And also if there are languages that are just so different, they try to find a way to memorize things easier, either in English and Spanish. And it was fascinating to see how their linguistic parts of the brain were working together to make this word make sense to them and make it easier for them to learn. One thing I really liked about teaching at a bilingual school was the communication with the families. It was fascinating to see how we could communicate with different languages depending on their preference. I think if I had only spoken English, there would have been some parents I would have not been able to talk as much as I did. So today we talked about bilingual programs in America. There are two popular programs. One is transitional, the other is immersion. In immersion, there are two models that schools follow. One is called roller coaster and the other is called side by side. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments below. Please like my video and subscribe me as well. Thank you. Bye.